Imagine an ancient world where the Nile and Euphrates were not just sources of life, but the lifeblood of great civilizations. On the horizon rise majestic pyramids, their shining stones reflecting the sunlight, as if the gods themselves had guided their construction. In Babylon, the sound of water flowing through canals fills the air. Multi-tiered statues, such as that of Zeus, tower so grandly that it seems their smile brings time itself to life. This world was full of mysteries, aspirations, and an endless thirst to leave a mark on history. The seven wonders of the world are not just structures. They embody the ambitions of geniuses and the belief in the immortality of the human spirit. They seem to say, "Look at what we are capable of. We will never be forgotten." This list, passed down through the ages, became a symbol of humanity's indomitable will and its ability to achieve the impossible. But how did the idea of cataloging exactly 7 wonders arise? The roots of this list go back to antiquity, when philosophers, travelers, and scholars sought to classify and understand everything around them. Herodotus, known as the father of history, and his followers were among the first to describe the great creations of their time. The final list was shaped later by Callimachus of Cyrene, a librarian at the Library of Alexandria. Why 7? In the ancient world, this number was considered sacred, symbolizing completeness and perfection. These wonders appeared during an era when civilizations reached unprecedented heights in architecture, engineering, and art. Egyptian pharaohs, Babylonian rulers, and Greek tyrants used their wealth to erect buildings meant to endure for centuries. It is important to remember, they were built not merely for beauty. The pyramids were manifestations of divine grandeur, worshipped by millions. The world around them was entirely different. Caravans crossed endless desert sands to deliver precious materials. Sailors braved stormy seas, becoming part of history, demonstrating how far humans could go when driven by dreams and the pursuit of eternal glory. The 7 wonders of the world are a bridge between the past and the present. They tell not only of the achievements of their time, but also remind us that dreams can transcend centuries. Now, let us travel to Egypt, the land where the story of the wonders begins. Among the sands and the blazing sun of the desert stands a monumental structure that still amazes with its grandeur, the Great Pyramid. The only one of the 7 wonders that has survived to this day, it was built around 2560 BCE during the reign of Pharaoh Khufu, also known as Cheops. This structure, nearly 147 meters tall, was the largest in the world for millennia. Today, it is slightly shorter due to the loss of its outer casing stones, yet it remains a symbol of the genius and ambition of ancient Egyptian civilization. The construction of the pyramid is a true mystery. About 3 million stone blocks were used, totaling roughly 6 million tons. Each block weighed between 2, 5, and 80 tons. Scholars believe the ancient Egyptians used sledges sliding on wet sand to reduce friction. Recent discoveries indicate that channels and platforms were built to transport the blocks directly to the construction site. The pyramid's casing, which reflected sunlight, turned it into a dazzling beacon in the desert. Unfortunately, it has almost entirely disappeared, but once it made the pyramid truly unforgettable. The construction techniques remain debated. Some suggest that straight ramps, extended as the pyramid rose, were used to lift the blocks. Others believe spiral ramps or complex lever systems were employed. Regardless of the method, it was an engineering marvel that continues to inspire awe. Yet the pyramid is not just an engineering feat, it held deep spiritual significance. Pharaoh Khufu considered himself a divine intermediary between earth and sky, and the pyramid was his eternal home. The central burial chamber, carved from granite, was protected by intricate passageways and massive stone plugs, safeguarding the tomb from looters. The workers who built the pyramid were skilled craftsmen, not slaves, as once believed. The precision is astonishing. The sides of the pyramid are aligned almost perfectly with the cardinal points, and the base is leveled with minimal deviation to create a stable foundation. Ramps were used to raise the blocks. Imagine a long, gentle slope along which stones were hauled. Sledges slid over moistened sand, easing the work. As the pyramid grew, the ramp was extended, or a new one built. These solutions allowed blocks to be lifted to heights over 140 meters without modern cranes. Special attention was given to working with granite, dense, heavy stones. They were smoothed to perfection using copper tools, sand, and water. Relieving chambers above the burial chamber redistributed pressure, evidence of a deep understanding of physics and structural engineering. The Great Pyramid of Khufu is not only an engineering achievement, but also a symbol of humanity's quest to unlock the mysteries of the past. Myths, legends, and questions about its purpose continue to inspire researchers. Some believe it could have been used to generate energy, while others point to its proportions following the golden ratio. Inside, there are no traditional paintings or reliefs typical of other tombs. The pyramid may have had a special ritual purpose. Some hypotheses even link it to extraterrestrial civilizations, noting the precision of the blocks and the difficulty of transporting them. Modern technologies, such as muon scanning, have revealed new voids inside the pyramid, including a massive chamber above the Grand Gallery. Scientists debate its purpose: a relieving chamber, a secret room, or something else entirely. Legends also surround Khufu's treasures. The ancients believed the pharaoh was buried with gold, jewels, and rare artifacts, yet no treasures have been found. The pyramid's connection to astronomy remains mysterious. The three Great Pyramids of Giza are, according to some studies, aligned with Orion's belt, and ventilation shafts point towards stars such as Sirius and Altair. Many mysteries of the pyramid are tied to the pharaoh himself. Historians debate whether Khufu was a tyrant or a wise leader inspiring his people. One of the most captivating legends claims that the Great Pyramid holds secrets, texts and artifacts revealing lost knowledge of ancient civilizations. The Pyramid of Khufu remains not only the greatest architectural achievement, but also a symbol of humanity's quest to understand the unknown. Each new discovery raises more questions, making it an eternal enigma that continues to inspire researchers. The next wonder of the world is the Hanging Gardens of Semiramis in ancient Babylon. They became a symbol of humanity's dream of harmony between nature and architecture. The gardens were described as a grand construction, cascading terraces filled with trees, flowers, and shrubs, creating the illusion that they floated in the air. The gardens were built by King Nebuchadnezzar II to adorn his palace and symbolize his power, showing how humanity could shape nature to its will. However, the first thing that raises doubts is the absence of any mention of the gardens in texts from the time of Nebuchadnezzar himself. Chronicles from that period, including cuneiform tablets, detail the construction of palaces and temples, but nowhere do they mention the wondrous gardens. The first descriptions of the gardens appear only centuries later in the works of ancient authors such as Strabo and Diodorus Siculus. These accounts may have been based on oral legends or misinterpretations of earlier records. Another question is how such a complex irrigation system could have been created in the desert. According to legend, water was lifted to the upper terraces using a mechanism resembling Archimedes' screw, a device capable of raising water to great heights. This system would have needed to continuously supply the massive terraces filled with plants, requiring an extraordinary level of hydraulic knowledge. However, no physical evidence of such a mechanism has yet been found in Babylon. An alternative hypothesis places the gardens not in Babylon, but in Nineveh, the capital of the Assyrian Empire. Historians suggest that the gardens could have been created by the Assyrian king Sennacherib, renowned for his engineering achievements. In Nineveh, traces of an intricate network of canals and aqueducts have indeed been discovered, which could have been used for irrigation. These findings make the Nineveh theory seem more plausible than the traditional legend of Babylon. Equally mysterious is the origin of the name Hanging Gardens of Semiramis. The figure of Semiramis is more mythological than historical. Her image embodies power, beauty, and wisdom, but there is no concrete evidence of her existence. It is believed that the name Semiramis may have been assigned to the gardens later, linking them to the legendary queen. Let us learn a little about Semiramis herself. Her figure is shrouded in myths and mysteries, and she remains one of the most remarkable women of antiquity. Semiramis, or Ramat, as she was called in Assyria, was a real historical figure. She was the wife of the Assyrian king Shamshi-Adad V, who ruled in the 9th century BCE. After her husband's death, she became regent for her son Adad-nirari II, temporarily taking control of one of the most powerful empires of the time. This fact makes her unique in an era when women rarely played an active role in politics. Yet her story goes beyond mere facts. Greek and Roman historians, such as Diodorus Siculus and Herodotus, turned Semiramis into an almost mythical figure. In their accounts, she appears as wise, powerful, and extraordinarily beautiful, her deeds bordering on legend. Her name was associated with the founding of Babylon, the construction of walls, temples, and palaces. Many believed that she was the inspiration, or even the creator of the Hanging Gardens, one of the 7 wonders of the world. Semiramis was also depicted as a skilled military leader, expanding the empire's borders. According to one legend, she even attempted to conquer India, but faced strong resistance and was forced to retreat. Other accounts emphasize her wisdom and ability to navigate the most difficult situations, which allowed her to remain in power in a world dominated by strong men. Legends of her origins add further mystique. One story tells that she was the daughter of the goddess Derceto, who abandoned her newborn to fate. The girl was found by a shepherd, and later noticed and married by the king. This mythical tale was likely added later to emphasize her divine origin and grandeur. Many of the feats described in ancient texts are not confirmed by historical data. Historians believe her real role was more modest. As regent, she governed the state during a period of instability and strengthened her son's rule. Nonetheless, her name became a symbol of female power and leadership. Semiramis became a composite figure, embodying traits of various influential women and rulers. She remains a legend, representing beauty, wisdom, and authority. How might the Hanging Gardens of Semiramis have looked if they truly existed? Descriptions in the works of ancient authors inspire researchers and artists to envision them. Based on texts and ancient engineering ideas, one can imagine a green oasis, a massive multi-tiered structure made of brick or stone, with terraces supported by columns and arches. Plants were arranged so that cascades of greenery flowed from the upper terraces, creating the illusion of hanging gardens floating in the air. The terraces were connected by staircases or inclined pathways, allowing palace residents and guests to stroll among the lush vegetation. The central feature of the garden was likely a complex water supply system. Ancient texts describe a mechanism that brought water from the Euphrates to the top of the structure. It may have been a screw mechanism or a series of water elevators. Water flowed down through cascades and channels, irrigating plants on every level. The sound of running water created a serene atmosphere, filling the gardens with the sounds of nature. The gardens provided a striking contrast to the surrounding desert. The vegetation may have included exotic trees and flowers imported from various regions, such as Media, the homeland of Queen Amytis. Plants may have included pomegranates, cypresses, date palms, jasmine, and roses, adding both beauty and fragrance. For structural strength, asphalt and fired bricks typical of Babylonian architecture were used. A layer of stone and reed, soaked in resin, prevented water leakage, crucial for maintaining the terraces. The gardens were surely surrounded by palace walls, protecting them from the sun and desert winds. In the evening, as the sun set on the horizon, the gardens would have been bathed in golden sunset hues, making them even more magnificent. The gardens may also have included fountains, statues, and benches for relaxation, turning the space into a true paradise for the ruling elite. Although many details remain hypothetical, reconstructions allow us to imagine how magnificent and extraordinary this wonder of an oasis could have been. The Hanging Gardens of Semiramis, if they indeed existed, were not only a symbol of engineering mastery, but also an embodiment of the dream of harmony between nature and human genius. After the grandeur and mysteries of the Hanging Gardens, we move to Greece, the land of philosophy, art, and deep religiosity. At the heart of this civilization, in sacred Olympia, stood one of the 7 wonders of the world, the statue of Zeus, the embodiment of the majesty and power of the supreme god of the Greek pantheon. Zeus was the god of thunder and lightning, the protector of order and justice. Olympia, home to his main sanctuary, became a symbol of unity among the Greek city-states. Here, religious rituals were performed, and the Olympic Games were held in honor of the god. The games were not only athletic competitions, but also reinforced the spirit and ideals associated with Zeus. The statue of Zeus, created by the renowned sculptor Phidias around 435 BCE, was more than a work of art. It symbolized the god's absolute power over the world. The statue stood approximately 12 meters tall, making it one of the largest sculptures of its time. Zeus was depicted seated on a throne, his imposing figure embodying grandeur and might. In one hand, he held a small statue of Nike, the goddess of victory, symbolizing triumph, and in the other, a scepter topped with an eagle, representing authority over earth and sky. The throne itself was a masterpiece, adorned with ivory and precious stones. Phidias depicted scenes from Greek mythology on its surfaces, emphasizing Zeus's divine origin and his triumph over chaos. The statue impressed not only by its size, but also by the skill of its execution. Ancient artisans used gold, ivory, and rare materials to create a sense of living divine power. Every element of the statue reflected harmony, grandeur, and the ideals of ancient Greek civilization. The statue of Zeus in Olympia was the center of religious and cultural life. It inspired people, reminding them of strength, justice, and the importance of spiritual values. Even today, it remains a symbol of humanity's aspiration toward greatness and harmony, a testament to how art can embody faith, power, and beauty. This combination of exquisite materials and intricate craftsmanship made the statue incredibly impressive. For the ancient Greeks, it was not merely an object of worship, but an embodiment of the ideal. The statue symbolized the harmony between the human and the divine, showing how art could reflect the majesty of the gods. The majestic figure of Zeus inspired awe and reverence, transforming the temple into a place of pilgrimage. People from all over Greece came to see this masterpiece. The statue reminded them of the power and unity of the Hellenes, and of the significance of religion in their lives. For the ancient Greeks, Zeus was not merely a depiction of a god, but a symbol of culture, faith, and the pursuit of perfection. The creation of the statue of Zeus was one of the most complex and ambitious projects of antiquity, demonstrating the mastery of ancient Greek sculptors. Phidias, the famed artist of his time, employed unique artistic and engineering techniques to create an image that inspired reverence and conveyed divine power. The statue's framework was made of wood, serving as a support for attaching other materials. Special inserts and joints, treated with moisture-resistant compounds, strengthened the construction. The framework was then covered with layers of gold and ivory, creating the illusion of radiant human flesh. Zeus's garments were decorated with thin sheets of gold, symbolizing divine light. Every detail of the armor, sandals, and cloak was adorned with intricate patterns, while scenes from mythology, including battles of gods and titans, were carved into the throne and its armrests, emphasizing Zeus's victorious nature. The throne itself was a standalone work of art, inlaid with precious stones. The eagle and lightning bolts, attributes of the god, connected the statue to mythology. Sunlight entering through the temple's windows was carefully planned so that the figure of Zeus appeared to glow as if alive. The effect was amplified by the reflection of light off the gold and ivory, creating a mystical atmosphere. Phidias's workshop was equipped with the most advanced tools of the time. Skilled artisans worked on metal, ivory, and wood. Surviving tools and molds testify to the labor intensity and precision of the statue's creation. The history of the statue of Zeus ended tragically. This masterpiece of ancient art, created to honor the supreme god of the Greeks, survived centuries of admiration, but ultimately vanished, leaving only memories and legends. The statue adorned the temple for centuries, attracting pilgrims from across Greece and the Mediterranean, remaining a symbol of cultural greatness. After the decline of the Olympic Games and the ban on pagan rituals in 394 CE, the temple lost its significance. Over time, its structures deteriorated, leaving the statue unprotected. It is believed that in the 5th century, it was transported to Constantinople, where it may have been destroyed in a major fire in 475 CE. Other accounts suggest it was lost due to natural disasters or the actions of Christian zealots seeking to eliminate pagan symbols. The gold and ivory may have been removed and reused. Archaeological finds from Phidias's workshop allow us to reconstruct details of the statue's technology and appearance, but no physical fragments have been found. Today, only the ruins of the Temple of Zeus in Olympia remain, while the memory of the statue lives on through ancient texts, travelers' descriptions, and modern artistic reconstructions. Its disappearance symbolizes how even the greatest creations of art can be lost to time, leaving only memories and inspiration. After the grandeur of Zeus, we move to Asia Minor, to ancient Ephesus, to explore another wonder of the world, the Temple of Artemis. This magnificent temple, dedicated to the goddess of nature, hunting, and fertility, was more than a religious site. It embodied artistic and engineering mastery and served as a center of cultural and economic life in the ancient world. The Temple of Artemis was considered a wonder, primarily due to its scale. Built in the 6th century BCE, it became the largest temple of its time, far surpassing the Parthenon in Athens. The temple measured over 115 meters in length, about 55 meters in width, and the columns reached a height of 20 meters. A total of 127 columns, arranged in several rows, supported the structure, creating the impression of a grand marble forest. The columns were not only structural supports, but also symbolized harmony between nature and human art. The temple's significance to the people of Ephesus and the Greek world was immense. Artemis embodied fertility, protection of women, and harmony with nature. Ephesus was considered her sacred city, and the temple was a manifestation of the goddess's power and benevolence. The temple became a pilgrimage site for people from across Greece and beyond. Visitors came to honor the goddess and offer gifts. It was not only a religious center, but also a cultural symbol, showcasing the city's wealth and power. Merchants, craftsmen, and travelers brought goods, ideas, and customs, making the temple a hub connecting diverse cultures and regions. The temple's unique location emphasized its significance. It was built on marshy land, symbolizing Artemis's connection with nature and her control over water. The wet soil may have also helped protect the temple from earthquakes, further reinforcing its mythological importance. The Temple of Artemis was not only grand in scale, but also stunning in beauty and architectural elegance. Builders and sculptors employed innovative techniques and exquisite materials, creating a temple that became a symbol of the perfection of ancient Greek architecture. The temple was dedicated to Artemis, one of the most revered goddesses of the Greek pantheon. She embodied nature, hunting, fertility, and the protection of women. People turned to Artemis for assistance in childbirth and to safeguard young girls. Her connection to nature was emphasized through her image as a huntress, surrounded by wild animals. In Ephesus, Artemis was particularly venerated as the goddess of fertility and the city's protector, associated with abundance and the prosperity of the region. These aspects of her cult were reflected in the architecture and decoration of the temple. The temple was built in the Ionic style, known for its elegance and harmonious proportions. Massive columns, about 20 meters high, not only supported the roof, but also created a sense of lightness and balance throughout the structure. In total, the temple had 127 columns, each adorned with carvings depicting mythological scenes, patterns, and symbols connected to Artemis. Some columns were so intricately decorated that they were considered works of art in their own right. The main structure of the temple was made of marble, giving it a radiant glow in the sunlight. Precious materials such as gold and ivory were used for details, emphasizing the wealth and grandeur of Ephesus. Carved panels decorating the walls and porticos depicted scenes from myths related to Artemis, hunting, and nature. These bas-reliefs not only adorned the temple, but also told stories familiar to every visitor. At the center stood the statue of Artemis, a masterpiece in itself. Made of gold and ivory, Her attire was decorated with images of animals and fertility symbols, such as bees and deer. This emphasized the goddess's connection to nature and her role as protector of all living beings. According to descriptions, the statue had a solemn and majestic appearance, inspiring awe in all who entered the temple. Special attention was given to the temple's roof. It was covered with terracotta tiles and adorned with sculptural elements, figures and statues placed along the edges and at the apex. These sculptures depicted mythological creatures and symbols associated with Artemis, adding decorative richness to the temple. The temple's location was also important. It blended harmoniously with the surrounding landscape and was elevated on a massive marble foundation, protecting it from the marshy soil's moisture. The foundation itself was decorated with carvings and symbolized the transition between the earthly and sacred space. The interior was designed to direct visitors' attention towards the statue of Artemis. Light streamed in through high windows, creating an effect of mysterious radiance, as if emanating from the statue itself. The temple floor was laid with marble and decorated with inlays of precious stones, adding even more luxury to the interior. The temple suffered damage multiple times, but each time it was rebuilt, reflecting the skill of its builders and the deep devotion of the people of Ephesus to their goddess. The first major tragedy occurred in 356 BCE, when the temple was set on fire by Herostratus. He destroyed the roof and damaged the statue of Artemis. This act provoked immense anger among the people of Ephesus and across the Greek world. Herostratus' name was cursed, and efforts were made to erase it from history. Instead of leaving the temple in ruins, the people of Ephesus chose to rebuild it with even greater splendor. Thanks to generous donations from across Greece and financial support from Alexander the Great, the temple was reconstructed with more exquisite decorations and improved structure. This restoration became a symbol of perseverance and faith, demonstrating that culture and religion could overcome the harshest trials. However, tragedy continued to affect the temple. In the 3rd century CE, Ephesus was attacked by the Goths, who looted the city and destroyed the temple. This event marked a turning point. The temple was no longer restored on its original scale. By that time, Christianity was gaining influence, and the cult of Artemis gradually declined. The remnants of the temple were used as building material for new structures, including Christian churches, such as the famous Hagia Sophia in Constantinople. The final destruction occurred due to natural disasters. Earthquakes repeatedly shook the region. By the 6th century CE, the site of the once great temple had become abandoned ruins. Despite this, the memory of the Temple of Artemis survived in ancient texts and legends. In the 20th century, archaeologists began excavations in Ephesus, uncovering foundations, columns, and decorative fragments. These discoveries allowed scholars to reconstruct an overall impression of the temple's grandeur and significance. Today, the site of the Temple of Artemis attracts visitors from around the world. Although only ruins remain, modern visitors can see traces of the foundation, a few restored columns, and fragments of marble blocks reminding them of the once majestic structure. Moving from the grandeur of the Temple of Artemis in Ephesus, we travel to the city of Halicarnassus, on the coast of the Aegean Sea, modern-day Bodrum in Turkey. Here stood another wonder of the world, the majestic mausoleum, built in honor of King Mausolus and his wife Artemisia. This monument became not only a symbol of eternal love and devotion, but also a testament to the ambitions of rulers striving to leave their mark in history. In the 2nd century BCE, Mausolus's domain was under the influence of the Persian Empire, though he ruled effectively as an independent sovereign. Skillfully navigating the politics of the great powers of his time, Mausolus proved to be an exceptional politician and strategist. He consolidated power, expanded the borders of Korea, and transformed Halicarnassus into a prosperous cultural and economic center. One of his major achievements was relocating the Carian capital to Halicarnassus, where he began grand construction projects, including fortifications, palaces, and, of course, the mausoleum, which later became legendary. Mausolus was renowned not only for his political activity, but also for his close relationship with his wife and sister, Artemisia. She was not merely a loyal spouse, but an equal partner in governing the state. Artemisia was intelligent, educated, and determined to strengthen Korea's greatness. Together, they created a cultural legacy that impressed contemporaries and descendants alike. After Mausolus' death, Artemisia was devastated by grief. To honor his memory and express her love, she decided to build a magnificent mausoleum. This monument was intended not only as a tomb, but also as a symbol of Mausolus' and Caria's grandeur. Legends say that Artemisia was so deeply saddened that she carried Mausolus' heart with her to always remain close to him. While this may be an exaggeration, it emphasizes the depth of her grief and devotion. Artemisia enlisted the best architects and craftsmen of her time, including Satyrus and Pythias, as well as renowned sculptors. She oversaw the entire construction personally, ensuring that the mausoleum would be a worthy tribute to her husband. The mausoleum in Halicarnassus was not just a tomb. It became a symbol of love, devotion, and ambition. Its construction laid the foundation for future architectural masterpieces and cemented Mausolus' name in history. Artemisia entered history as a woman who transformed her grief into a monumental work of art. The mausoleum was an outstanding architectural achievement with a unique design combining Greek, Carian, and Persian elements, symbolizing the cultural diversity of Caria and its connection to multiple civilizations. Its height reached approximately 45 meters, making it one of the tallest buildings of its time. The massive rectangular white marble base formed a stepped platform, symbolizing strength and grandeur, creating a powerful foundation for the structure. Rising above it were rows of Ionic columns surrounding the tomb. In total, there were 36 columns, supporting the elegance and lightness of the structure. Decorative panels between the columns featured bas-reliefs depicting mythological scenes and Mausolus' great deeds, emphasizing his divine grandeur. The pyramid-shaped roof of the mausoleum was particularly striking. It consisted of 20 stepped layers, converging at the top, crowned with a statue depicting a chariot carrying Mausolus and Artemisia. The marble figure symbolized Mausolus' triumph and greatness. The chariot represented his authority and immortality, as if embarking on an eternal journey. The sculptural decoration of the mausoleum is remarkable. 4 famous sculptors adorned different sides of the building, creating scenes that reflected not only the lives of Mausolus and Artemisia, but also their cultural heritage. Among the best-known images were battles of Amazons, sea scenes, and depictions of gods and heroes. Each side of the mausoleum had a unique style, showcasing the skill and individuality of the artists. Life-sized statues of Mausolus and Artemisia were placed atop the mausoleum, emphasizing their roles as rulers worthy of veneration. The details of the sculptures, folds of clothing, facial expressions, and dynamic poses, demonstrated the exceptional skill of the artists. Though the mausoleum has long been destroyed, surviving fragments provide insight into its former grandeur. These finds allow archaeologists and historians to understand the tomb's structure and assess the mastery of ancient architects and sculptors. One of the most valuable surviving pieces of the mausoleum is the sculptural fragments discovered during 19th century excavations, now housed in the British Museum in London. Among them are relief panels depicting Amazon battles, maritime scenes, and mythical creatures. These details not only demonstrate the artistic skill of the era, but also reveal the cultural context in which the mausoleum was created. The fragments convey the power and authority of King Mausolus and his court, as well as the high regard for themes of war and heroism. Surviving columns and architectural elements, showing traces of painting and carving, confirm that the mausoleum combined multiple styles: Greek, Carian, and Persian. Ionic capitals reflect classical Greek influence, while decorative motifs indicate Persian influence, highlighting Halicarnassus as a cultural crossroads where Eastern and Western traditions intersected. Evidence also exists regarding the mausoleum's pyramid-shaped roof. A piece of roofing tile discovered by researchers illustrates the ambitious plan to create a massive pyramid above the colonnade, topped with a chariot sculpture. Written accounts from ancient authors such as Vitruvius and Pliny the Elder, along with later chronicles and travelers' descriptions, complement archaeological findings, allowing us to reconstruct the mausoleum's overall appearance and understand its role in Halicarnassus's life. Together, surviving fragments and written sources form a cohesive picture of the mausoleum as a masterpiece of art and engineering. They reveal the high level of skill of ancient architects and sculptors, and the mausoleum's influence on Mediterranean architecture. The mausoleum became not only a monument to King Mausolus, but also a testament to the cultural diversity and creative genius of the ancient world. Next, we move to the sunny island of Rhodes, home to another wonder of the world, the Colossus of Rhodes. This monument honored Helios, the sun god, and became a symbol of courage and strength, inspiring not only the island's inhabitants, but the entire ancient world. Rhodes, located in the heart of the Aegean Sea, was renowned for its strategic position and naval power. After a year-long siege by Demetrius, ruler of Cyprus, the people of Rhodes defended their city, turning it into a symbol of resilience and steadfastness. Demetrius, defeated, was forced to leave his siege engines behind, which became trophies of victory. The people of Rhodes decided to commemorate their victory and honor Helios, whom they considered the city's patron. The proceeds from selling the captured siege engines were used to build a monumental statue, the Colossus of Rhodes. This statue was intended to emphasize Rhodes' grandeur and independence, as well as send a message to the world about the island's strength and unity. Sculptor Cheops built the Colossus over 12 years. The statue reached approximately 33 meters in height, making it one of the tallest structures in the ancient world. The Colossus depicted Helios in a proud stance, his face turned toward the sea, his head crowned with rays symbolizing divine light. In one hand, Helios held a torch, guiding sailors, and his presence inspired respect and confidence in the island's protection. A popular myth suggests that the Colossus stood at the harbor entrance, with ships passing between its legs. While this is likely a later artistic embellishment, it underscores the statue's grandeur and legendary status. In reality, the Colossus most likely stood on land near the harbor, visible from afar as a symbol of protection and prosperity. The construction of the Colossus became a symbol of victory, not only due to its immense size, but also for its profound meaning. The statue represented unity, pride, and the power of a city that stood firm against a formidable enemy. The building process itself was a collective triumph. All segments of society contributed, from selling the trophies to working on construction. Every contribution strengthened the sense of community and mutual support among the islanders. The idea of creating the Colossus as an offering to Helios embodied the Rhodians' belief in divine justice. The statue served as a visible reminder that even the most powerful adversaries could be defeated with resolve and faith. The Colossus was positioned to greet ships approaching Rhodes, impressing visitors and traders, and asserting the city's status as a center of power and commerce in the Mediterranean. Despite its triumph, the Colossus met a tragic fate. Around 226 BCE, a powerful earthquake struck Rhodes. The 33-meter-tall statue could not withstand the tremors and collapsed. Massive fragments were scattered across the area, yet even in ruin, the statue continued to inspire awe. Pliny the Elder wrote that many travelers came to Rhodes solely to see the remnants of this colossal monument. The people of Rhodes sought guidance from the oracle at Delphi to determine what to do with the destroyed statue. However, the oracle advised leaving the Colossus in ruins, interpreting this as a sign of the god's will. Rhodes obeyed the prophecy, and the remnants of the statue remained in place for several centuries. The fragments lay on the ground until the 6th century CE, when Arab conquerors captured Rhodes. According to chronicles, the remains of the Colossus were dismantled and sold as metal. Legend has it that transporting the debris required 900 camels. Even in its ruined state, the Colossus continued to live on in legacy, a symbol of courage and unity, inspiring ancient authors and later generations. The Colossus of Rhodes became an archetype of monumental statues and a source of inspiration for many sculptures, including the famous Statue of Liberty in New York. After the Colossus, we move to Egypt, to the island of Pharos, where the Lighthouse of Alexandria, another wonder of the world, once stood. This lighthouse was not only a masterpiece of engineering, but also of immense practical importance, becoming one of the most significant navigational structures of the ancient world. The Lighthouse of Alexandria was built in the 1st century BCE during the reign of Ptolemy II, Philadelphus. Alexandria, founded by Alexander the Great, quickly became a major trade and cultural center of the Mediterranean. The city's harbor, protected by the island of Pharos, received ships from across the known world, but submerged rocks and shallow waters made entry dangerous. The need for a lighthouse was driven by the desire to ensure sailors' safety and reinforce Alexandria's status as a premier maritime port. The lighthouse became a symbol of technical progress and the ambitions of the Hellenistic era. Its height exceeded that of most buildings of the time, and it was the first lighthouse of such scale. During the day, sunlight reflected off a metal mirror, while at night, a massive fire burned atop the tower, maintained by specially trained personnel. The lighthouse guided sailors away from hazards and helped them safely reach the harbor. Its significance, however, was not purely practical. The Lighthouse of Alexandria reinforced the city's role as a center of trade, science, and culture. The light seemed to convey to every approaching traveler, "You have arrived at the center of the world." The lighthouse also symbolized the power and wealth of the Ptolemies, demonstrating their mastery in combining engineering achievements with their ambition to be leaders of the Hellenistic world. The lighthouse was built from large blocks of light limestone, connected with lead clamps, ensuring strength and resistance to earthquakes. Its construction was divided into 3 levels: a massive square base, an octagonal middle tower, and a cylindrical upper section with a platform for the fire. This 3-tiered structure provided stability against wind and earthquakes and distributed weight evenly. A particularly innovative feature was the mirror, which reflected sunlight over long distances, while at night the fire's glow was amplified using reflective surfaces. This was one of the earliest examples of reflective technology in architecture. The lighthouse's longevity was due to the quality of materials, thoughtful construction, and symbolic importance for the Ptolemies. It was not merely a navigational landmark, but also a symbol of power, authority, and cultural grandeur. Nevertheless, even this masterpiece could not withstand nature. A series of earthquakes, particularly in 956, 1303, and 1323 CE, caused irreparable damage. Stones from the lighthouse were later used to build fortresses, some of which still stand today. The Lighthouse of Alexandria had a profound influence on the development of lighthouses as navigational structures. Its multi-level design and use of reflected light became prototypes for future engineering solutions. Its symbolic role as a guiding light in darkness has been inherited by modern navigation systems. Now, let us consider the fate of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, and why most of them have not survived. The reasons are complex and multifaceted. Natural disasters, earthquakes, wars, and human negligence. Even the most robust structures, made of stone, wood, and marble, could not withstand the destructive forces of nature. For example, the mausoleum at Halicarnassus and the Colossus of Rhodes were destroyed by earthquakes, while the Lighthouse of Alexandria was dismantled for reuse of its materials. Some wonders disappeared due to wars, others were repurposed, and some were simply forgotten. The most dramatic loss, though not part of the canonical 7 wonders, was the Library of Alexandria. The Egyptian pyramids survived thanks to their massive scale and advanced engineering, while the other wonders, more delicate and refined, were vulnerable. They were designed to impress contemporaries rather than endure eternity, yet the memory of them persists as a symbol of human ambition, genius, and the pursuit of beauty. Today, humanity seeks to revive the memory of the wonders. Archaeologists and architects restore remnants, create 3D models, and design monumental statues inspired by ancient masterpieces. Modern analogues, such as the Burj Khalifa in Dubai or vertical gardens in Singapore, reflect mankind's striving for harmony, beauty, and engineering excellence. The fate of the 7 wonders reminds us that even the greatest achievements are temporary, but the memory of them can endure forever. Contemporary projects not only honor ancient masterpieces, but also inspire the creation of new ones, continuing the human dream and story.